Party with your host, Dustin Rybka.
Hello and welcome to Sex Party. I'm your host, Dustin Rybka. With me on the show this week is friend of mine, friend of the show, Stephanie Smith. She is back for the next installment of the Stephanie saga. If you haven't seen her last 5 appearances, this is her 6th appearance on the show. She has been dealing with an absolutely crazy situation with her boyfriend, now ex, ? You're about to find out. Everything from him cheating and getting other women pregnant, having sex with trans women, and there's a lot of hidden cameras, listening devices. You know, we all know that women are far better detectives than men. Even Batman does not hold a chance to a woman who needs information. She will find it. Stephanie is one of the greatest detectives of all time. And we are going to talk to her about a new career move that fits that profile exactly. So prepare yourself for the next installment of the Stephanie saga, because without further ado, this is my conversation with Stephanie Smith.
This week's conversation.
Stephanie Smith, my long lost friend. Welcome back to Sex Party. How are you?
Hi, I am pretty good. How's it going?
It's bad. It's bad. It's going bad. Like, I'm just gonna be real. It's going bad right now. But like, you know, we're working through it. But it's pretty nuts. I'm not gonna lie. How are you doing?
I mean, I'm better than the last time I talked to you, so things are progressing in a positive direction, which is good.
Well, the last time, I believe the last time that we left off in the saga of things, is that your boyfriend. So I don't even know what to do at this point, right? Because you have a very loyal fan base, I would say, through this show, through your appearances on this show and the saga with you and this guy. And I don't even know if it's worth it to go back and recap because it's so long, right? But the last time you were here, you had broken up with him. He was still in the house.
Yes.
You guys were sharing a thing. You had started an OnlyFans. Everyone was curious about that. Actually, I had a lot of women reach out to me and ask, like, what's up with her OnlyFans, which I was like, okay. And so, yeah, that's where we left off. But before we do any of that, like, do you want to sort of reintroduce yourself in case we have some new people here, who you are, what you do, all the things? Yeah.
Sure. Okay. So my name is Stephanie. I am from Boca Raton, Florida. I am, or was, I guess, the host of Dirty Blondes podcast. I have been on a extremely long hiatus.
It happens.
So, so basically that stopped when I started dating my ex-boyfriend. So I'm potentially going to start it again. I'm not really sure what's going to happen with that, but that's who I am. I've been on Dustin's show since season 1, or I guess you have seasons, right? Or
yeah, we're in season 3 right now. Yeah.
So yeah, long time guest.
Yeah, one of the longest. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's just been this saga of, like, you're with this guy. I mean, some crazy shit happened. There was sex with trans women. There was cheating. He got another woman pregnant. Yep. You were using hidden cameras in the house to catch him in lies. Yeah. He was like packing like clothes to change after the gym in like his food containers or something weird. And you were just like, you are. I mean, they say that Batman. And I'm a huge Batman fan, as everybody knows, and like whatever. And I have this guy, like, official, unofficial sex party mascot. It's the Joker dressed as Batman, which I just think is so sick and funny. Yeah. But I have it over here on one of my speakers. So they say that Batman is the world's greatest detective, and as much as I love Batman, I have to probably bump him down to number 2 and put Stephanie Smith as.
Well, do you want to hear something funny? So
I would love to.
As a current life update, we can talk about the X in a second, but sure. I am actually going to be getting my private investigating license.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay, so you were like, I'm so good at this, or did someone see the podcast and be like, hey, do you want a job?
No, so I've been told this my whole life. So I don't know if I've ever told this. I think I told the story on actually my podcast. I don't think I've ever told you or your listeners the story. But when I was in college, I was in my last year of college, and my girlfriends and I decided to go on a spring break trip. And we were based in South Florida. So we went on one of those like long weekend cruises in Miami or something, or out of Miami. So it was 4 girls. 2 of the girls they didn't really want to do all the stuff that my friend and I wanted to do, because we wanted to do the excursions and whatever, all the fun stuff. And they kind of just wanted to hang on the boat. So her and I ended up going on this excursion, and she had a boyfriend at the time, and we all hated this guy. She dated him all 4 years of college. He was just a piece of shit, but whatever. They dated, and this was a girls only trip, so he wasn't there. So on this particular day at this excursion, we met this group of guys, and she hit it off with one of the guys. And I think they were there for one of the guys in the group's bachelor party. And they were constantly like they were just joking around a lot on the cruise. So everybody knew them. They had wigs one day. They would wear like jean cutoff shorts and like just funny shit. So everyone knew who they were. And the one guy that she hit it off with happened to be either in a relationship or engaged. I think he might have been actually engaged. So this was back in 2010. So this was like pre-Instagram, pre-Snapchat, pre-major social media stuff. Like Facebook, I think you still had to have an edu email address,
Right.
So this was like, stalking wasn't as easy as it is now. So we get off the cruise. They end up making out the last night of the cruise. And she kept talking about them. And he was from Tennessee, or living in Tennessee, and his friend was living in Michigan, and that's where he was from originally. So I had basically nothing to go off of. No last names. I didn't know where he went to college. His friend's name happened to be Chad, and he went to Madonna University. And I was like, oh, Chad's not that common of a name. And I was like, Madonna University. I said, how many fucking Chads go to Madonna University? So I end up finding this kid, and then finding the friend that my friends liked on Facebook, and I added them, and now they're married. And so he broke up his engagement and she ended up moving to Tennessee to be with him. They have 2 kids now, I think. And they had like a gym company. I'm not friends with them anymore, but yeah, they got married because I stalked my way to the top. So not that I condone the cheating. I didn't like push them to cheating. I just was, like that.
So wait, was your friend getting married?
My friend in college, she was just in a relationship with this guy that, he was a piece of shit.
The guy that nobody liked. Yeah.
So I was kind of encouraging just her getting out of that relationship, not necessarily, messing up an engagement of another couple, but
sometimes things happen. We're all adults.
Yeah, exactly. I just did the introduction, but yeah. So since then, I've always been like really good at figuring out stuff. And even with my ex, that I think I've talked about him before, Charlie, that I dated while I was in college. Like we were long distance, but I found out a lot of stuff about him just by hunting and pecking and, whatever. My intuition is pretty good usually. So
yeah, no, your intuition is like diamond crusted fucking gold. Amazing. It's always, and that's why, and I want to key in on that for a moment, because you said you're actually going to get your private investigative license, which is amazing. You belong in that field. And I hope you get like a trench coat and a fucking fedora and you smoke cigars. But anyway, oh my God. But anyway, like, so most women in the digital age are pretty great detectives, right?
Yeah.
But like, from your experience, Miss Hidden Cameras and having an app double logged in and like all the things, like give the girlies and the men too, if they want to spy on their significant other or their ex or whatever the fuck. Listen, we condone whatever it is you guys want to do, healthy and safe and safely. Like, we're all humans, make your own decisions.
Yeah.
So whatever, but like give the girlies some tips on how to spy on their partners better.
So one thing that you can do, so the camera thing, you just have to be careful with your state laws and all of that stuff about one consent state, two consent state, all of that. Obviously, I wasn't saving any of the recordings. I was just watching things live. So, if you get into recording stuff, you can just tread lightly and know what you're getting yourself into. I mean, the cameras obviously are available. The camera that I used looked like an alarm clock / wireless phone charger. So there are, laws and things, against that kind of stuff. It's not forbidding you purchasing the product, but you just have to know that there are legal ramifications should the other person, want to go after you.
Yeah.
So with that being said, that's something that you can do. There's all kinds of, I think the company that I had purchased the camera from was Lizvie, Lizvie. I got it on Amazon, and they have a couple different phone chargers and things that you can get. And there's an app on your phone. So you just have to turn on the audio, and then you can record. That is an option. It doesn't record though 24/7. You have to physically be in the app to record it.
Right.
But that is something that, definitely can be utilized. If you have speculations about your man, there's a lot, I hear a lot I'm in a couple of those groups, Are We Dating the Same Guy on Facebook? And I feel like I see a lot of women on there that are like, oh, with trans women, with it being whether it's a fetish or just a constant thing that happens, or, oh, he might be gay, I'm not sure. You can download Grindr. You don't need to have, you can have a Grindr profile and it be completely blank. You don't have to input your name. You don't have to input your age. So it can be a completely clean slate. So that's how I ended up finding my ex, looking for trans women, and seeing his location, because that app is, whereas Bumble and Tinder and everything will say within a mile, this is within feet. So it'll say within 3,600 and whatever feet. So,
oh God.
Yeah. So you can see when I had the app, I could see, I don't want to say I could see my neighbors, but I could see who lived in my community by how close they were.
Yeah.
So that's something that you can utilize too. I'm trying to think of what else. I mean, the camera was really my golden ticket for because he was home a lot the first year of our relationship. He wasn't really working. So when he was on the phone with his friends, I had a camera at my front door. That the camera was inside my house, but it was looking outside just in case there was packages or people walking by my apartment. And so it was recording all the noise on the inside. So, I mean, he knew about that camera, but that's how I heard a lot of things. And, so then it just kind of snowballed into me going through his phone and, all of that kind of stuff. So,
well, I mean, yeah. And so, and did you started a fake dating profile to catfish him?
Yeah. I did have that too. So I would make Bumble accounts and Tinder accounts with, influencer profile pictures. I would just take people's pictures, from the internet. But not that they were these glamorous models. It was, people that were not local, but people that were beautiful but average looking, you know what I mean? So it wasn't oh my God, who's this, potentially OnlyFans model or whatever. These were very pretty, just average people. I tried to make the pictures and the profiles look as realistic as possible. But I put very little information in the profiles, and I knew what his type was and the qualities that he looked for in, when he was swiping. So it was never hard for me to get him to swipe on my profile. So I had done that many times throughout our relationship, just, to prove a point to him that he was lying to me, that because he kept saying, oh, I don't have Bumble anymore. I don't have Tinder anymore. I'm not swiping, or, I'm not talking to anybody. And I'd be like, yes, you are, because you're talking to me, you fucking idiot. You're literally talking to me. You go to the bathroom and then you're messaging this person and it's me. So he did that. I mean, I can't even tell you how many times he did that. And because I would send him the screenshots and be like, well, why are you messaging this girl that I have made up? So
So he would leave, like you guys would be like having dinner, watching a movie, something, whatever. He'd be like, "I'll be right back, honey," and he'd go in the bathroom, and then bing, you would start getting notifications on Bumble that he was messaging this fake person you created.
Sometimes, yeah, sometimes he would be like at work, or depending on the situation, or I would be at work and he would be home.
Sure.
So yeah, so it depended on the time frame in our relationship.
Oh
But yeah,
gosh,
it
yeah,
was
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and so I just saw this thing. It was fascinating, and I forget. He's like becoming like an online. He's a divorce attorney, but he's becoming like a online celebrity, really.
Mhm.
And he just talked about the modern state of divorce and whatever. And he said that like 60% of divorces now happen because the man or woman, usually a man, but the man or woman doesn't realize that their Apple ID is logged into the iPad,
Mhm.
and so the kid's playing on the iPad, or the iPad sitting on. If you don't have kids, it's sitting on the
Yeah.
nightstand, and then you can see all of the. So were you doing anything with that?
He didn't have an iPad. He did have multiple phones though. So like, cause he had this old phone from when he was in college, and it had a huge crack on the screen. So he kept the phone more as like an iTouch almost. So it didn't have a phone number associated with it, but it still had, if it was connected to Wi-Fi, the phone worked.
Sure. Yeah.
So he had that phone, which is where he did most of his Bumble and Tinder swiping. So it wasn't on his actual like everyday phone. So that I was able to figure out the password because I had watched him type in his password one time. And then when his friend was over a different time, his friend was like, "Bro, you should not have two phones with the same password. Like, she'll figure it out." So he
You heard
verbally,
him say that?
yeah, on the camera, like in the
Oh
house.
shit!
So then he verbally said, "Oh, change it to 6921." And I was like, "Oh, bingo." So then because of the camera, I was able to figure out the password. So
So you waited for him to go to sleep, and then you stole his phone and went in the bathroom, or
the hidden phone that he didn't think I knew about, I
the
would,
Walter White phone?
yeah, if he was not in the house, then I would go through it. Not that there was really that much on there because there was no text messaging or whatever. Like it was really just
Sure.
like the Bumble and Tinder stuff. And then his regular phone, there were times that he would leave it out, but towards the end of our relationship, like he thought that I had hacked his phone. Oh, because I went through his Apple Watch because I had bought him an Apple Watch for his birthday one year.
This is what I'm talking about. These
Yeah.
devices are connected,
Yeah.
and you have multiple points of vulnerability if you're trying to hide something.
Absolutely. And that's the thing where I guess if you are the sneaky person in the relationship, just make sure all the passwords don't match, because that is how I figured out, because he only had at the time 2 passwords that he was using. So even though his phone password was one, his regular full-time phone, his iWatch or Apple Watch was a different password, but I knew
Sure.
both of them. So I was able to see his text messages on his watch. Like, so when he would go to work and I would be home, I would sit there and I would charge his watch because he hated charging it. So I would charge it enough to turn it on. I would go through the messages. That's how I found out that the girl got pregnant. Because I still actually have the recording. I was cleaning out like shit on my phone, and like I had filmed it on my phone of me scrolling through the watch. Of their conversations of her telling him that she was pregnant. But yeah, so that's how I got that. And the Apple Watches are weird because it's like you can't access every app, but you can see notifications. Like, so for example, Instagram, like you can't go, I couldn't go into his Instagram, but I could see the previews of like a username DMing him or liking something that he's sent or whatever. So I could then at least go and then find that person on Instagram. Another thing that like I did was I have a lot of different Instagram accounts of just like, I have like obviously like my podcast account, and I have some burner accounts and whatever. So my recommendation, I have a fake woman account, a fake man account. So then that way, if I'm trying to like add somebody that's private, like I have them as like these kind, like, like whatever, a very unsuspecting picture, with very little information. So a lot of people will add the person back. and there's nothing really in the profile. Like I think I bought followers on both of them because it's like a couple bucks to buy like 1,000 followers or something. So I had done that to make it look like there's actual followers, and I have 0 posts on it. And that's how I got to see a lot of the people that he was following. But then I also had another account where I blocked every single one of the people that he was following. So then that way, if he was following someone new, then I could see the new person he was following. So because Instagram used to be chronological, and it's weird because depending on what version you have, like if you're a business account, a creator account, or what version, I guess it depends on your activity on Instagram. It looks different on each account because I manage my boss's Instagram account, and sometimes she gets updates before my personal profile does.
Yeah.
So with that being said, not every account that you go in shows chronologically who the person followed and what order. Even though you can sort it on your personal end, like on your own profile, you can't sort it on someone else's profile that you're looking at. So what I did was I always saw his following count go up and down. And I'm like, who is he following? Like at one point I couldn't figure it out. So I blocked every single person he was following. And then the girls that I was, trying to kind of keep tabs on to see if he was commenting on their posts or liking their posts, I have a quote page. So it's all just like quotes and memes and whatever. So I follow all of them on that account, and then I'll block them on the other account. So then I can see all the new people that he follows.
Wow. Oh my God.
There's a lot of levels to like how you can be stealth.
No, and this is great. Stealth, right? We want stealthy Stephanie. But like, or Stephanie the stealth, or I don't know, whatever. We'll figure out something. But stealth is a superpower, right? And some people might be listening. They're like, oh my God, she's crazy. Oh, I would never go to that link. But a lot of people do go to those links, and a lot of people have reasons too. And also, the quote page is fucking brilliant.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
it's all
add
like
another
quotes, so it's like the girls are obviously gonna like be okay if I request them, or they're gonna follow back, even though I never really update on it. But that's
fucking brilliant. I will add another level to it because I have I have one burner account that I've had for, I don't know, 6 years or something.
Yeah.
And I have like, I keep tabs on the people I need to be keeping tabs on. Let's just say that, y'all.
Yeah.
Right. And I use it for whatever reasons I need to use it, because you never know in this business what you might need to use it for. And so I have been following people who they figure out that this doesn't look like a real, I'm gonna, and they remove you, right? And you want that person back, so you request them, and then they deny it. So another level that I will add to it, quote page is so good, but also you can be a brand new like restaurant, like a sushi place or a pizza place that's coming soon.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That's actually brilliant. I didn't think of that. That's great.
Because who would not allow a pizza or a sushi place?
Yeah.
Depending on their what they're interested in, right?
Absolutely.
To follow them. It's a follower, it's harmless. So and so follows, whatever. So that's another level if you want to get fucking sneaky.
Yeah, that's actually really good. I never thought of that. Well, it's funny now because, and here's the thing too. So I have him blocked on my one account because I have so many accounts on my phone between my boss's account, my personal account, I just have various, whatever, all these like, for likes and stuff. I have saved them all. So I think I have 9 accounts on my phone. So him and I had blocked each other back, I think in like March or April, just because, obviously we broke up and whatever it was, what it was. So when he blocked me, you know how it says, do you want to block this person and all other potential accounts that they're connected to? So he inadvertently, he didn't block my boss specifically, but like on her profile, I can't search for him because it's linked to my phone, even though it's her email address for the login, her own password, whatever, I still have her account on my phone.
Yeah.
So that's one thing where I have him blocked on one account, because then that way, if he unblocks me and blocks me again, then it's still like, I can at least access it from that account. So just like, for people who are going to create multiple accounts potentially from, this information, just always have the person that you're stalking, if their profile is not private, blocked, because then that way, you can always kind of see their their stuff.
Yeah, I mean, this is all tradecraft, really, in the digital age, and also too, you can just go to your computer and start a new account. So
No, you can't. Not well. It's dependent on the state because in Florida you can't. Because I was trying to create another account the other day on like Instagram.com,
yeah.
and it was like due to state laws, like something came up, and it was like due to state laws or recent changes in your state law, you have to do it from your phone.
Oh,
So
Jesus.
yeah, so sometimes it depending on the app, there are workarounds. I don't know about Instagram specifically, but like I know for dating apps, like I've seen people always constantly say about getting banned on Tinder and like, you know, all these dating apps
Oh my
and shit.
God, yeah.
So some apps, if you get banned on them, you can use a fake number if you pay for a premium account. But then some of them don't allow it. So it just depends on, you know, because there's what is it, SMS and then RCF or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, I
Ours,
think
yeah.
they can tell if it's SMS.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it just depends. There are workarounds sometimes, but yeah, for whatever reason in Florida, you have to create an Instagram account from an actual phone now, which is bizarre.
Yeah,
but
that's so bizarre. Yeah. Okay, so that's a fucking huge lesson in tradecraft and spycraft, right? Use it how you want.
Yeah.
We're not trying to tell you to be nefarious, but you might need to check in or check up on someone, and so there you go.
I mean, and it doesn't have to be an ex or a relationship. It could just be like an old colleague or whatever, you know. I mean, who the fuck cares? But everyone stalks. I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah.
It's just the level of what you do. Like, it's not like I
Absolutely.
drive around, like, you know, looking for people, but it's like, you know, everyone internet stalks. It's just the world we live in.
Well, and this is much better than somebody fucking driving up and down your street to see what's going on. I mean, that's so final question in this piece of the show. Have you ever planted a listening device besides the camera? Have you ever planted a listening device? You don't have to say,
yeah.
Okay.
All right. I had got audio recording devices also from Amazon. I don't know the brands. They were just random little ones. So the ones that I had gotten were flat. So I could place them kind of anywhere. I didn't end up getting anything off of them. So it was whatever. But because I did have at one point, when I had a dog a couple years ago. Oh, I have a dog now, but my previous dog, I had some owners that did not, neighbors that did not like my dog. So they were always harassing me because he was a pit bull mix. And I wore it wasn't a hidden camera, but it looked almost, it was very unsuspecting. So it was like a body camera, but it was like clipped on. So I have stuff like that that's what started the whole camera thing at my front door because my neighbors would always they would try to instigate my dog barking, but he never barked. They would try to pound on the door or just whatever. They were always filming outside my door. It was very weird. So that was kind of how a lot of this camera stuff started because I don't know if I told you too, the camera that I had originally, I was robbed years ago. My apartment was broken into and I had $10,000 or $15,000 worth of stuff taken, all my jewelry, my Louis Vuitton luggage, my laptop, all kinds of stuff. And and it was all stolen from my room. So that was ultimately why, kind of the whole camera thing started. It wasn't just I'm some weird peeping Tom. I was robbed and had $10,000 worth of my stuff taken. So that ultimately that and my neighbors harassing me about my dog is kind of the, I always just try to be protecting of myself, but it has, worked in my advantage of finding out things.
Yes, it has. And you're a master at it. And I look forward to see, I mean, I might hire you to do some stuff for me. So whatever.
I'm available. I mean, not legally. I mean, I can do internet sleuthing for people, but
No,
I have a BIN verified account. I pay for that, BIN verified in White Pages. And I utilize our state's LLC searches and, business stuff. I find out, that's another way you can find out stuff about people too. Is in Florida, it's called SunBiz. It's where everyone has to register their any business affiliated with the state. And there it's everything's basically public record. So the mailing addresses, all the people who are listed as managers. So you have to have an address associated with it. And just here, I don't know if it's a country thing or if it's just a state, but you can look up and on property appraiser, your the property tax of where the mailing address is, who owns what property. So that's something else that I've utilized over. That's I know from working in real estate because of, just that.
Of course.
But yeah. That's another way you can stalk people or figure out who's involved.
So do you plan on actually like becoming a practicing private eye?
Yeah. So right now I'm in the process of getting
I
my
love this.
Yeah. So, well, first I'm studying right now to pass my state real estate exam. Even though I've worked in the industry for a really long time, I passed the course, but I've never taken the state test.
Mhm.
So I'm going to take it by the end of this month or like early next month. And hopefully I'll pass it on the first try. I mean, I've been in the industry for like 6 or 7 years, so I shouldn't have a problem.
Right.
But once I pass that, then I'm going to enroll in the online course for the private investigating. The way that Florida does it is you have to do the course and then you have to be an intern for 2 years.
Mhm.
So luckily my boss knows someone to put me in contact with to do an internship. So I'm not really sure what it all entails. Like, I'm just trying to get through the real estate test first, and then I'll, dive more into the private investigating stuff. But I have the application printed out and, I have everything lined up. I just have to get through this test and then I'll jump into everything else. Cause I'm excited. I'm excited to start the coursework. It's an online course. So I can do it at my leisure, but since it's something that really interests me, I feel like I'll get through it pretty fast.
Yeah. I can't wait. I can't wait. Okay. Well, that's awesome as fuck. Now with that sort of the first half of the episode, let's ask the big question, right? What happened with you? So the boyfriend, Koala, as we called him, I forgot his real name.
Danny.
Okay. So Danny, AKA Koala.
Yeah.
This saga has been unfolding for like 2 years, over 6 episodes. This is the 6th episode. So you guys were living in the same house. Things were tense.
Mm-hmm.
Are you guys done? What happened after we recorded that final episode? You were like, he's done, whatever.
Yeah.
What happened next?
So I think I had recorded in March. So we had broken up in like the end of February or early March. So I think that episode, it was like a week or two. It was pretty fresh still. I mean, I was mentally checked out like starting February, but it was officially done by either February or March. So I had typed up a lease agreement because Florida is like nuts with rent and all that stuff. So I knew he wasn't going to find something right away. And I had typed up a lease agreement for him to sign. I upped the rent because he wasn't paying rent. I mean, we were just living together. So I had upped the rent for him, and I had given other stipulations. I forget even like what it was. I put it into ChatGPT. It was just like, here's the situation. Give me some type of lease that I can have him sign off on.
You told ChatGPT about all of his cheating and pregnancy?
I mean, well, I just said like an ex relationship, like it was, enough that I was like, all right, like, let me protect me in these ways. And, I made some alterations and whatever. So he signed off on it, and he moved into the spare bedroom, and it was just really difficult living with him because at the time I had left the last real estate job that I was in, and I was kind of in between starting my new venture that I was getting involved in. So I was home all the time, and I didn't have I had nothing going on. Like, I was just like, plus I was depressed. Like, it was just like, it wasn't a great situation. So he had just started, I think, a new job. So for me to be watching him coming and going and like leaving like late at night or coming back in the middle of the night, like it was unhealthy because I wasn't sleeping well. I wasn't doing well mentally. And then to constantly be worrying about like, oh, who's he talking to on the phone? Where is he going? What's he doing? Like, it's not that you can't get over someone when you're constantly like wondering what they're doing.
Sure.
So we got through March, April, and then May. And May was his birthday. And I had started some fights with him then because he was just going out all the time. And it was just like, it was toxic. I mean, I was starting all kinds of shit. And,
you guys were both bringing like people home to bang, right? Like separately?
So no, after we broke up in March, there was no one coming over. I think I had someone come over because I knew he wasn't around one day. Like, but
Right.
I think that was it. Like, and it was someone that I had just known forever. Like before I even met him, it was just someone who's always kind of been on my radar. And I was like, whatever, you can come over. And like that was that. So it wasn't anything like, wasn't anything special. I wasn't like seeking out anybody. Like I had gotten back on the apps right away, just like to spite him basically. And that's what happened with the OnlyFans too. Like I don't have OnlyFans anymore and I don't have the slushy account. I ended up creating those again to be like spiteful to him because I was promoting it on my Snapchat and I knew some of his friends followed me and it was just like, I was trying to start shit. So
did any of his friends subscribe to your OnlyFans?
No, but they would watch all my Instagram stories and stuff. Cause it wasn't like, or not on Instagram, my Snapchat stories.
Oh yeah.
I would post like teasers of things, but like, it wasn't like X-rated cause it would be taken down. So, but I knew a lot of them had followed me and I knew it would get back to him. So and he just was trying to say to me, oh, you're disgusting. I would never want to date someone that does that. But I'm like, you literally subscribe to Girls OnlyFans. Like I've seen the emails come up on your computer of like, subscription renewed. Yeah.
Bullshit.
Well, because for him, it's like, oh, I'll like jerk off to girls on OnlyFans, but I don't want to date one of the OnlyFans girls because you're trashy and disgusting. And it's like that. Well, which is it? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, so in any case, I didn't continue doing it because I just wasn't in the right headspace because I had just ultimately gotten out of a relationship that my ex was telling me that I wasn't worthy of people being loyal to me because my body was gross and that I was disgusting and that I was never going to, so it was like to have that in the back of my head. Like I just wasn't feeling confident about myself. So I wasn't feeling like taking pictures and posting things because I was just like, what? I'm like, who's like, really, I was literally thought, I'm like, who's going to subscribe to this? No one's going to want to see this or pay for this. So I had some subscribers, but I didn't post enough for them to really like, either renew their subscriptions or to make it worth their while. So, and I like felt bad. I'm like, they're paying for like nothing basically. So not that it was like,
did you do any like custom content or did you sell any videos or anything?
I had a couple people reach out, but sometimes by the time I got back to them, it was just like, I don't know, their accounts were deleted or whatever. So it wasn't anything like that crazy. Like I wasn't like, raking in the dough, because I just wasn't putting in the effort. So I had deleted those accounts. And then, so that was, I think I don't know when I deleted them actually, but I had basically stopped, uploading in like probably April or May. So May was his birthday and he, I was starting shit with him then. And then I had gotten some bad news about my dad's health. He was having like some kidney issues and stuff. So my mom was chatting with me about selling a condo that they were living in and, moving. And, there was a lot of talks about all of that stuff.
Right.
So I had approached my mom about moving into their beach condo because they were buying a house that was closer to like where his doctor, because he has to do dialysis 3 times a week. So the house.
Sorry to hear that.
It sucks, but he's doing okay.
Good.
But so they were moving because it was closer, but they were still going to have the beach condo. So I was like, well, can I move in there and rent out my place because I still had my lawsuit going on with my ex boss. And I was like, this way it'll have me, be able to bring in some money to pay off my lawyer fees, which were ridiculous. Right. And initially my mom agreed. And then she was just like, she changed her mind. She's like, no, I just don't want the overhead just because insurance, in Florida is like crazy homeowners insurance. And they were on the beach and in a flood zone and whatever. And she's like, I just don't want to deal with it. Right. So I initially had told Danny, you need to go, like, the lease is now up because we had it as like just an open lease. Like there wasn't a time frame because I didn't want him to commit to like a year or 6 months. Like I just was kind of like, you can pay month to month and I'll give you 60 days notice of when you have to leave. So, and he was like, I only need 30 days notice. So I was like, fine, you're fucking yourself, but fine. If you only want 30 days notice, then so be it. So in May, I had told him, I said, look, because at the time I was going to move into my parents' beach house and rent out this place. And I told him, I said, I'm going to be renting this place out. I'm moving. So you need to go. I said, unless you're planning on paying the full rent and it's going to be probably 4 times what you're paying now, and I said, I know you can't afford that. So I said, you got to go. So he was like all bummed about it. And he was like, I really wanted to stay. And like, I thought we could work things out and blah, blah, blah. He's like
Oh my
backpedaling.
God.
Yeah. So,
Oh
so
my
yeah,
God.
so he ended up moving out, in the end of June was when I told him that he had to move out. So June 30th.
Okay.
And he tried to like make amends with me the whole month of June. Like he was, trying to have like the deep conversations. And I really thought that, I thought we were living fine together. I was like, I'm like, I cry every single day. I'm like, I don't know how you think that this is healthy, like living with your ex. I'm like, sure, it's fine for you because you have no fucking empathy or emotion or like any type of emotional awareness. So yeah, sure, it's fine for you, and you're living here basically for free. You know what I mean? Like he was paying basically nothing. So yeah, so he was trying to make amends, and we were on better terms by the end because May was really bad. Like I had started a ton of shit and was just like really combative with him because I was like past the crying stage at that point, and then I was in like the revenge stage basically.
Yeah, burn it all.
Yeah. So I was, and I didn't, I'm one of those people where it's like I get really fiery and heated about things, but it's like ultimately my conscience sets in and I don't want to like leave things on a bad note. So when he was trying to apologize for things and like he was crying about stuff and he was kind of holding himself accountable in certain ways, and he had a lot of realizations like as we talked through some things. So I thought like things were going to get a little bit not better. I didn't like think we were getting back together or anything, but I thought we would at least end on a decent note. But then for work, he was traveling. He had to travel a couple times out of state for his new job. And he took advantage of the situation of like him not fully moving out his stuff. Like he had moved a bunch of it out by the end of June, but then, come, the beginning of July, some of his shit was still here. And then he was sick and it was traveling and this and that. And he still had his fish tanks here. So I posted on Instagram. I was like, if anyone wants these fish tanks, you can have the fish and the tanks. You just have to pick them up. I had both two different people come and get them. And then the rest of his shit, I threw out because like he was giving me a runaround of like, he had just gotten back from a trip and he was like, oh, I'm sick. So I can pick up some stuff today and then I can pick up other stuff a different day. But then mind you, he was on Threads, like responding to girls' thirst traps and stuff. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, if you have time to do that, but you're leaving me on red for like 3 hours, I was like, fuck you, fuck your shit that's left. So I called College Hunks Hauling Junk and I had them remove all of the rest of the shit that was here. And I blocked him and I told him, I said, I don't ever want to see you again. Good luck, good riddance, whatever. But I was like, I'm just throwing your shit out because this, like at this point, you're pay me another month because I'm just a storage unit at this point,
That's
So then it was funny because I think it was like July or August when we had all the snakes and the reptiles. You have to go to a reptile store to get like live mice and rats and all the crunchy shit that they have to eat.
Oh my God.
And I had an account with them, like my, rewards account or whatever. So I had gotten an alert on my phone after I had blocked him saying, oh, you got $5 on your account because he was still using my phone number. And not that I would ever use that account again. I didn't have any of the snakes. Like he had given away half of them to a friend and then he had the other half. But it was just annoying because I was getting the text messages and the updates. So it was like, I couldn't get away from him, So I unblocked him. I sent him the screenshots of the email and the text message I had gotten. And I said, stop using my fucking number. Blocked him again. Then I think he had bank mail come to my house. And I was like, you need to change your fucking address. I said, you've been out of here for like 2 months already. I said, it's absolutely absurd that you haven't changed your banking information. Like, are you out of your fucking mind? So I had unblocked him, sent him that, blocked him again. And then there was a third time that I got another piece of bank mail and it wasn't just like spam stuff. It was like legitimate bank mail. And I unblocked him again to send him a picture of it. And I was like, hey, you still have mail coming here, but then it never went through. So he had blocked me I guess because he was so pissed that I had gotten rid of his fish tanks and, was harassing him, and he couldn't harass me back. So yeah, so that was it. So after that, I hadn't spoke to him or anything. I did see he works like right down the road from my house. So I did see him driving a couple times, which was like really unfortunate because I like wanted to run my car right into him, but I'm kidding. Sort of. But yeah, so it's like I can't really get away from him because he lives like in the area. He lives right next to my gym, and then he works right next to my house. He did use my GNC account the other day, so I called GNC and had them cancel my full account and get rid of my points.
You used your like for points?
Yeah,
he used your points.
Yeah. He used $20 off. Well, and here's the thing. So he was working at GNC when we were first in a relationship. That was like his first job that he had. And he had created, there's like, you know how like you can sign up for like store credit cards and bullshit. So he needed me to sign up for something for him. So I had my own account. So when he would, and he had his own account, but mine was like a premium account. So I got double or triple the points. So when he was working there, he would eat, the snacks and stuff at work or the drinks they sold, like energy drinks and stuff. So he would always use my account to accumulate the points. And then he would buy us, protein shakes or supplements or whatever.
Yep.
So because he was always accumulating them, like it just constantly, I always had something in my bank of that. So I got an email, I want to say it was in like October or November, and it was like, oh, how was your recent purchase? And I was like, recent purchase? And I was like, oh shit. I was like, did it renew the annual premium thing? So I look and it was like, oh, your purchase, and it was the shop that was like right down the road from my house. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? So I contacted the customer service number and I was just like, can you confirm if there was a purchase recently made under my account? And they said yes, like it was in store on this day and whatever. And I said, okay. I said, I didn't make that purchase. I said, I don't care if the person used the points at this point, like, because I never shop at GNC. I always buy from Amazon.
Sure.
But it was just the principle, and I knew there was a ton of points left. So I canceled the whole account. I was like, I said, I don't even want my phone number associated with you guys. I said, remove my email, remove my phone number. I said, if I become a customer again, then so be it. But I said, I don't want him to be able to utilize whatever points I have left. I would rather just forfeit them. So
yeah, no, that's terrible. And I
know it sounds so petty, but it's just
no, it's just act shit. You know what I mean? We all go through that act shit, and some breakups are worse than others, and like obviously like you guys were both petty as fuck with each other. But he was like a different kind of evil to you, like body shaming you and like cheating on you and getting other women pregnant, and like he would want to have threesomes, but you couldn't like do certain things, and you get mad if you were like talking to dudes. So like, fuck that guy. I've always said that. I've always, whatever. Hopefully he's not listening, but if he is, fuck you. Right. So like, I've heard
he actually blocked you because I think he overheard one of our conversations. I think it was the first time we broke up, and he had gotten home from work and he was listening through the door, and you had said something about him, and he was just like, oh, he's always had like beef with you. Not that you knew, but like he was always like, fuck Dustin, like, whatever. And I'm like, well, Dustin's doing a lot more in his life than you are. So go fuck yourself.
Yeah, I can imagine there's probably quite a few dudes that are really not happy with me and have said like "fuck Dustin" since I started this podcast. But even before, so like,
make merch.
Oh yeah, we're on it. We're so on it for sure.
Oh, God.
The "I hate Dustin" merch is gonna pop for real.
He used to say it all the time. Anytime I would bring up the podcast, he'd be like, "You guys are never gonna go anywhere with your podcast," and blah blah blah. He was like, "Fuck Dustin." Well, who does he think he is? Because he blocked me. Or blocked my podcast because he was like, I don't want to see all that stuff. And I'm like, I don't know why you're acting like such like a fucking church mouse and a nun when you literally like your internet search history is fucking something else, So I'm like, why? Yeah. Like, so you can't listen to your girlfriend talk about sex openly on a podcast, but you can like search, men's feet and women's feet and trans women and all kind, whatever else,
sure,
but that's okay for you to do it in the secrecy of your own home. But like, God forbid we talk about it openly. Yeah. Like, it's like, okay.
I want to say he either followed me or he followed Sex Party.
Oh, did he?
At one point, I can't be 100% because there's a lot of weird like things that happen, I'm sure you can imagine.
Yeah.
I have quite a few burner accounts following
Well, it's just so
me.
weird because I always was stalking the shit out of who he was following. So that's why, like,
Yeah.
I never recall that. But I mean, you could be, I mean, I'm sure you're right. But
I don't know if it was a follow or maybe it was like a story view or a like or something. I don't know, whatever it was, but he was in or around what my account or whatever. That's so funny that he was like, fuck Dustin, whatever.
yeah.
I love that. Yeah. Merch coming soon.
Because you listened through the door and you were like, fuck that guy or something. And he was like, oh, well, fuck Dustin. Blah. And I was like, whatever. I'm like, just stop being so butthurt. I was like, Dustin's my friend. I was like, and anyone who's heard the shit that you've done to me does not like you. So.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And like, you know, the new like so sexparty.fm, the website is there right now.
Mm-hmm.
It just went up like 2 months ago and we're still making improvements to it, but like the new version of it actually has a game you can play where it's a picture of me and you can slap me across the face. And every time you slap me across the face, I have a different reaction to you slapping me. So like everybody that's hating me that is listening or watching, I appreciate you. I love you, but also you'll be able to slap me across the face on the website.
Oh my God, that's
in like
hilarious.
2 weeks. We're gonna roll it out. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and merch coming soon. So let me ask this question. We're starting to near the end of the episode. I don't know where we'll stop, but we'll see. Okay, Stephanie is single, and she is ex free, meaning your ex is out of your hair.
Yeah.
So are you back on the scene? I mean, before this guy, you were dominating, like in terms of like you had a lot of dudes that were just like worshiping you. You had a lot of dudes who were trying to like wine and dine you. You had a lot of young dudes who were trying to fuck. So like, what is single Stephanie doing right now?
Nothing, honestly. So when him and I first broke up, like, so this was like probably like April-ish, like March, April, whatever, when I was like being spiteful. I had gone on a couple just random dates here and there. Nothing really happened, you know what I mean? Like I made out with a couple of them, but like didn't hook up with them otherwise. They took me out just, you know, mostly for drinks. It was drinks or appetizers, whatever.
Sure.
It was good just to get back out there. I mean, I had very little expectations and I honestly was not in the mind space to really go on a second date with any of these guys. It was just like, you know, they were young guys, they were cute, they had really made the effort. So that's the only reason why I had, agreed to the dates, because they were like, okay, I'm going to pick a restaurant or I'm going to pick the time. Like they really went through. It wasn't like, oh, well, do you want to do this? Or like, where do you want to go? Like they made the effort to make the actual plan. So I was like, okay, I'll take it. You know, if they're doing all the work and whatever, then that's fine.
Sure.
Then I deleted the apps for a while because I just was still not mentally like in the right place, you know, because he, like I said, he moved out in June, but like it took me really the summer to kind of just like get over him and get used to living my life again. I adopted a dog. So I went to my local animal rescue and got him. I actually saw him when I was doing my probation stuff for my DUI and he was still there, so I was able to get him, so that, you know, occupied a lot of my time. So I was getting settled with just like all of that stuff.
Sure.
And then in the last like few months I've joined pretty much all the apps again. I'm on Bumble and Tinder and Hinge. There's another app called Luxy, which is kind of like it's kind of like Raya, I guess. It's like it's supposed to be like Raya. It doesn't have celebrities on it, but it's supposed to be that like elevated, you know, like people of, you know, a certain type. So I have that. I'm not really putting any effort into the apps. Like I don't swipe often. And like most of the guys that reach out to me are very low effort. So it's like, to me, I'm like, I'm just at a point where it's like, if you're not putting in the effort, I definitely don't need to put in the effort. You know, it's like, if you can't even, like, the amount of guys that just say hi, it's not even like, hi, how are you? Or hi, how's your day? Like, it's hi. Like what? Like, come on, at least give me a little something more to work with. So, I'm just at the point where it's like, I'm open to dating, but I'm not looking for anyone. Like, I'm fine with being single for now. I'm fine with focusing on getting my real estate license and, you know, and then working towards the private investigating license. and just kind of living my life with my dog. Like we're just, we're comfortable here. So it's,
Well, I
there's
love that. I think
no
that's
drama.
awesome. Yeah. Do you think that this period of your life is going to be just like a short-term thing and then you're going to get back? Because like, do you think, I guess the larger question is, we talked about polyamory, right? And like
Yeah.
open relationships and obviously like you're a sexual person, you like sex and whatever. And you did have those experiences with people before this last guy, the
Mhm.
fucking tornado disaster with snakes and shit, fucking weirdo guy. And you were like happy, or it seemed like you were happy doing that, where you would have like, there was even like some hot wifing scenario kind of shit going on where guys would like want you to go fuck other guys and like take a video of it, and like
Right.
you were doing all these things. Do you think that you'll return to that, or do you think you'll come out of this chill space in your life and you're just like, you know what, I kind of just want like to like bring the insanity down a little bit and just have like a one-on-one relationship? Or like, what do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, I think, ultimately the whole like open relationship, I'm not built for that. Like it's just, I'm just not, it's not for me. I gave it a shot, but I think mostly because he was so untrustworthy. And I think that's the basis of those types of relationships, whether it's polyamory, open relationship, whatever. You need to have 100% trust. And I could not trust him to take out the trash. So for me to trust him, disclosing to me about who he was talking to, or not wanting to give me his phone password, or, like it wasn't for me. So,
Yeah.
and I honestly, based off of what I see in a lot of those groups on Facebook of like, are we dating the same guy or whatever, like the horror stories that I see on a daily basis, I like, not to say that all men, but most men, especially in South Florida specifically, are a fucking train wreck, So
Sure.
I just, it's going to be hard enough for me to trust one person, let alone, being involved with multiples. So I think I'm just at a point, like I'm 37, I'll be 38, in September of this year. And not that I'm like in a rush to like get married and settle down, because like I don't want kids. That's never been something that I've, been, I don't have that like ticking like clock of like, oh, I need to find someone to have kids and check off all these things. That's not it. But I just want like a simple life. Like I'm just, like I've done the whole sleeping around. I went through a phase in my 20s. I did the shit in my 30s. Like I'm glad for the experiences, but it's just not something that like I need. And nothing with me is off the table ever. You know what I mean? Like it's not, it's not to say that I might meet someone, in a couple months and they might be like, have this insane situation. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like, let's do it. Like, who the fuck knows? I don't know. But as of right now, like I would prefer just a traditional, like drama-free monogamous relationship. Ultimately, that's like kind of what I'm going for if it happens. And that's like, I've had a couple people reach out to me, old listeners of my podcast saying, oh, are you going to start the podcast up? And I said to them, I was like, I don't know how to start it back up again at this point, because my life is so different from when I started the podcast. When I started the podcast, I was single, I was sleeping around, I was dating all the time. I was, just doing all kinds of fun things. I was trying different stuff. I was teaching guys things that were younger than me. So it was fun. Now I'm just like, I don't want to just sleep around just to sleep around. Like I've been there, I've done that. I don't need to waste my time and my energy on these guys just to, for one time. Like I have a vibrator, that's fine. Like I don't I don't need to be wasting my time with all these guys in the area that are, not worth it. So that's what I've kind of been struggling with, because I do love podcasting. And I was so glad when you reached out to me to come back on, because I was like, oh, good. Like I can kind of get back into it. But I just don't know where my podcast stands at this point, because I'm not dating. And my life is pretty boring now. Like I just kind of I work from home and I just kind of chill with my dog, and I'm studying a lot, and I'm going to be studying more once I get into private investigating. So, I mean, that will be something once I start to get into that world, like, sure, I can talk about it, but from then until now, it's just, I don't know, I don't know what I'm going to do with all that stuff because my life is very different.
Sure. And I think that you deserve some peace and quiet for a while or forever, or whatever the fuck you need. I mean, we all need those moments in our life. And I think you deserve that time with your dog and Netflix and your vibrator and all those things. Sure. Whatever. But it's like, one, you were dating someone who, you always expressed on this show, like the fantasy of like having a threesome with like two guys. You could never even bring that up with him because he'd be like, "What do you mean?" Or whatever. And I don't know if you ever fulfilled that fantasy or whatever, but I'm sure it didn't go anywhere. I'm sure you still have it, and it would be nice to probably date somebody who's potentially like open-minded to either role playing that out or whatever. And it's like, okay, maybe that'll happen. Secondly, I want to say, if you just come out, if your personality and your intelligence and your sense of humor, if you come out with a podcast that is like Dirty Blondes Undercover, or maybe you scrap Dirty Blondes and you just do like a private investigative, like lurking in the shadows, like weekly podcast, you're going to be in Apple's top 10 podcasts in like 24 months. I'm telling you.
I feel like, I can get so far, but that's the thing. It's like the longevity. Like that's, I think what I get, cause I'm like, okay, like, cause even like I've had people that are like, oh, start Dirty Blondes again. And I'm like, sure, I can get through a couple episodes, like of, obviously I've done the full update and everything on your show, but I don't think I've really done the full, I don't even remember the last episode that I did on my show, honestly. So I'd have to go from start to finish. So it's like, that could get me through like 3 episodes, maybe. I could have my friend John on because he hated Danny. So it's like, that's a whole, so it's like, I have like a month of episodes, but then beyond that, it's like, hey guys, I'm just sitting in my house today. Like, what's going on? Like, like, I'm just like, am I that interesting? Like, cause it's like, we live in this world of like, everyone wants to be an influencer. Everyone wants to be known. And I try to keep myself humble to the point where I'm like, okay, yes, anyone can find anyone interesting. There's enough space out there for all of us. But I'm like, am I deluded in the sense of like, I'm literally just sitting here with my dog. Like my life, I don't want to be one of those people that I'm like trying to make my life more exciting than it is. When I started the podcast, it was exciting because people were living vicariously through me because I was sleeping around and I was like doing fun shit and I had crazy stories. Now it's like, I'm like, what am I going to talk about? I'm like, does people really want to hear my fucking opinions about like, whatever, it's like I have opinion about everything, but it's like I don't know if people really want to hear it. So I think that's where it's like imposter syndrome is kind of.
You're always welcome back here anytime, no matter what you have to say.
Well, I'm always available now, so anytime you need a filler episode, just call me.
And we're gonna fucking we're gonna collab on some other stuff too. We talked about it a little bit. We're gonna figure it out. Maybe we'll do some lives or something and like tackle some topics or whatever. So Stephanie Smith, the world's greatest detective. Let's remind, even though the podcast isn't up and running, there are episodes that are really fucking good, right? Gave me a lot of inspiration back in the day when I was getting mine started. And I actually was on your show, and I'm very honored to have been on your show. So let them know where they can find you, where they can find the podcast, all the things.
So Dirty Blondes is still up. It's Dirty Blondes Pod is the Instagram, even though I have not posted on there in forever. But Dustin will be tagging me in this episode, I'm sure. So I will have a couple updates. You can find the podcast on Spotify, Apple, pretty much anywhere where you can download a podcast episode. And my personal Instagram is Steph C. Smith. If you want to follow me there, that's mostly where I update everything. And that's where you'll find me.
Amazing. Well, my friend, it was another super interesting update with you. I love these episodes. I love being able to chat with you and hang out with you a little bit. Thank you for being on the show, and we will see you very, very soon.
Yes. Bye, guys.
Big thank you to my friend and my guest, Stephanie Smith, for being on the show with me this week. Make sure you go follow her on Instagram. Stay up to date with everything she is doing. She will be back. We will be collabing more on a few things. You guys will have to wait and see. But if you're loving guests like Stephanie and you're loving this show and you want to show this show the show. I said it 3 times. Some love, some appreciation, some devotion. You never want to miss a new episode. What can you do? Well, if you're listening to this on platforms like Spotify or Apple or iHeart, you could leave ratings, you could leave reviews. Those things are great, but they're a fucking waste of time. So what you really want to do is you want to make sure that you're subscribed to the show so you never miss a new episode every single Wednesday, especially if you think you're subscribed on Apple Podcasts. They've been doing this weird thing. They've been unsubscribing people from certain shows. So this is what you want to do. Go to Apple Podcasts, go to Sex Party with Dustin Rybka. Upper right-hand corner, there'll be a little logo. If you see a check mark, you're good. If you see a pause button or a down arrow, up arrow, whatever, click that icon. Drop-down menu will appear. Click resubscribe, resume downloads, whatever it is, bing, bang, boom, bang, galingo, you're resubscribed. If you're watching on YouTube, I love you. I see you. I appreciate you. If you're watching on YouTube, have you ever gone through your significant other's phone? Have you ever put a listening device on a partner? Have you ever spied on an ex? Let me know your stories in the comments. I love this shit. If you're watching on YouTube, what can you do? Well, you could like this video. You could like all the videos. You could leave comments. I love interacting with you guys. Even if it's negative, leave the comment. We'll have a little chat. But you want to subscribe to the channel so that way you never miss a brand new episode every single Wednesday. As always, I'm available in the DMs on Instagram, and I will see you guys right back here next week.
Thanks for listening. The party continues next week. Click subscribe and let's make this a regular thing. Follow the show on Instagram and Twitter @SexPartyFM. Follow Dustin @DustinRybka.